And that was Jerry Fish and True Friends. And in the studio with me, I have some friends, old and new friends, that are going to be talking about the forthcoming production of Drumboe, a play written by local playwright and historian Kieran Kelly, the premiere, I'll say, now that I'm getting my tongue around premiering, got it that time, in the Balor on Thursday night. And joining Kieran is Charlie Bonner and actors Stephen Dunbar and Denis Grindel. You are all very welcome.
Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, Jean.
How's it going?
Not so bad, as I said. I'll tell you after I chat to the four of you. So, Kieran, you're no stranger to Highland. You've written several plays, including Jimmy's One in Matches, Echoes of Time, Beneath an Irish Sky, Drama Tours, and you've written books, Letterkenny Where the Winding Fully Flows, and then again the past and present of Letterkenny Town, and One for the Road, a history of the pubs and hotels in Letterkenny, is coming out in 2024. A busy man, so you're obvious from all your past works you have a great love for local history and creative writing.
Yeah, very much so. It's kind of just a part of something I love so much, of a big gra for the local history. But what's interesting about we'll do this play, this is kind of this is Balbuffet history, as opposed to I would kind of be more into Letterkenny history with the books and everything. But this is it was a story that I was kind of aware of course. I mean, we've all grown up hearing about the Drumboe martyrs, but I didn't know specifics about it, and it was fascinating to do the research on it. And I hope for the people of Balbuffet and Stranraer, I hope that it's done them justice, that they're happy with it.
Mm-hmm. And the Drumboe martyrs, the actual Drumboe martyrs, just in case there's someone out there that doesn't know about them, just can you give a wee synopsis of that?
Yeah, essentially 4 men were executed in March 1923, so 100 years ago this year. And basically they were, at the time it was the Civil War, and so they were being held prisoner in Drumboe Castle, which is no longer standing, but a place in Drumboe Woods, just on the other side of the river to Balbuffet. And basically there was events around the country, and it was part of a policy of the Free State government at the time to deter more, or to put an end to the Civil War, to execute prisoners, kind of as revenge killings, as they're called. And it was a very, very bloody and bitter period in our history, where it was Irishmen killing Irishmen, former comrades. And I mean, between November 1922 and May 1923, there were 81 executions of these prisoners throughout the country, all over. And in our story, this is a story of 4 of the prisoners, well, the story primarily of 1 of the prisoners, Charlie Daly, who was executed. And I said, this is a story that could resonate around the whole country, but we're telling this story, and it comes down to the Civil War, the treaty between the Ireland and England, and opposition to it, and the arguments for and against that. That's kind of what split the country at the time, unfortunately.
And I suppose it's one thing fighting an enemy like Ukrainians, Russians, or English, Irish, or whatever, Nazis and the Allies. But when you actually have to shoot someone that was your brother, your friend, it must have been a terrible thing. And an execution as well, where you actually see the person. It's not even in a battle. It must have been horrendous for them.
Well, that's it. This comes from the true story of it happening. What the hook that got me when I started the research on it, it was the fact that Joseph Sweeney, the general in Drumboe Castle, who would have been given the order to execute, Charlie Daly was a former comrade of his. They were former students together in UCD, and they would have known each other, and they would have been, like brothers, so to speak. And that was kind of what piqued my interest, how it was a story of brothers. So this isn't a political drama. This is a human story, as best as I could do. I wanted to tell, from a human point of view, the story of how brothers could be torn apart. And there's references to Cain and Abel, and to Frank and Jesse James, and so on throughout so it is a tale of brothers. And as I said, that's a common theme for many Civil War stories, sadly. So. And
it's based on true events, but have you used poetic license just to embellish it a little bit for an audience?
Definitely. You have to tell a story. It's not a history lecture. It's not a history book. You're not given every single fact that happened. You have to tell into a coherent story. The character that Denis plays is a fictional character, Father Stephen McDevitt, and he had to be fictional for what I wanted his character development to go through. There's a scene between Joe Sweeney and Charlie Daly that didn't happen, but I felt that in the context of the story, you're denying the audience the opportunity for the 2 main people to meet. So things like that, okay, there's poetic license there, but the facts still remain. The 4 men were shot in March 1923. There was events around the country in Ballyseedy and in Churchill and in Creasla and all these different Newton Cunningham, nearly said Newton Stewart, Newton Cunningham and Drumkeen. All these events that are referenced took place. So it is based on facts, but to tell a coherent story, for the audience to be engaged in the story, not be just bored with facts and figures and so on, you have to kind of have a little bit of artistic and poetic license to tell a coherent story.
And I suppose it's very relevant now with the 100 years since the end of the Civil War. Was that why you chose the topic?
Well, yeah, it's not so much the chose. I was actually approached originally by Councillor Jerry McMonigal, and I have to give him full credit for that. I would not have had the idea for this at all when he said the centenary's next year. Is it something you'd like to look into? So I looked into that. As I said, when I got that fascinating story between Joe Sweeney and Charlie Dale, I thought this is actually very, very good. There's a story here. So with that in mind, I went to Connor in the Balor, and I kind of said to him, is there something we can do here with us? And we went then to like Judith McCarthy of the County Museum in Trailock. So we managed to get funding through the department of, I don't know what the department is, but the commemoration, the centenary of the decade of centenaries. And so we got the funding for that. So it was a kind of slow and gradual process, but the idea came from just a quick conversation with Councillor McMonigal, and that's where and then the fact that it's a centenary just makes it all the more poignant and special that it's part of now a decade ago, or a centenary ago, 100 years ago.
Fantastic. And Charlie, again, you are the director, and you have performed in many theatres over the last 30 years in Ireland, and the Abbey and the Peacock and the Gaiety, the Gate and the Lyric and the Everyman in Cork, and you've directed a few shows as well in the Old Balor.
That's right.
April Bright by Dermot Bulger with the Fada Theatre Company, and Conor Malone's State of the Nation back in 2017. So a complete actor, and you've directed. Do you have a preference for the acting or the directing?
Oh no, not really. I mean, it's more the material that you get. Whatever is that gets excited. That gets you excited, and you just want to contribute in whatever way it is. Like what we do in the professional world is we serve the work, and whatever role you're given to serve that work, whether as an actor or as a director or as a writer, we all bring something to the party. So I mean, I don't know. I've directed, I'd say, maybe 8 or 9 shows over the past 30 years, just between acting jobs. And every single time I come the last 3 days and I go, I am never ever do this again, never again. And then you always return back to it. So yeah, I mean, I'd heard about this last year. There was whispers of it, and Kieran and myself were kind of. Anyway, there was like little whispers down the wind about it, and I just got really excited about it. Just the idea of it being such a local part of our history, and literally down the road from where Dennis is living, and it's somewhere I used to visit an awful lot as a kid. But I have to be honest, I'm ashamed to say that I only found out about 3 years ago that I grew up imagining it was a War of Independence monument, and I didn't realise it was a Civil War monument until recently, and then that was even more fascinating. But that goes back to an awful lot of, you even feel it here still, of there is a reticence about talking about all of this. And this is one great thing about what we're doing now, is we're giving it articulation, which is great, and it's incredibly balanced. What Kieran has done is absolutely amazing. There's no good guys or bad guys, and there's no winners or losers. It's an incredible story told with a lot of passion and a lot of feeling and a lot of empathy for everyone as well. Yeah, so it was really exciting when I first read the script. I just went, yeah, this is class, and then we started going on little local lectures around the county, listening to people talking about, and you just get more and more excited as it goes along, and the ideas and Kieran's so accessible as well, and so approachable about ideas as well, contributing, adding stuff to it as well, and it's been wonderful. It's really wonderful.
And so then, just from what you've been saying, I can gather that you've learned a lot more about the Drumboe martyrs from researching the play or working with Kieran. Oh,
good God, yes. I mean, growing up in Donegal, I remember when we at Easter Sunday commemoration used to be on every year, and I remember following it as a kid, even just out of curiosity about it and stuff. But no one ever talked about it. It was like, I can't remember what, was it Father Ted or some show, and they're talking about a school teacher there going, so then we had this 1916 Rising, and then we had the War of Independence, and then we joined the EU in 1972. It was just like 50 years just disappeared, So there's an awful lot of that happened as well. So I think it's been incredible that the awareness of the terrible, terrible dark time that it was is being brought into relief now, to minute into focus as well, because we have to learn from these things,
And it's a professional production with a stellar cast. So how good is it to work with people like Stefan and Dennis and Sean, who's not here tonight?
Wonderful, absolutely amazing, and their application and their enthusiasm and their willingness to, their courage to try things, and and to adapt to what they're doing as well, and just as back to serving the play and I keep saying we have to keep polishing this apple and keep making it better and better as much as we can, and just what everybody brings to the party is just wonderful. Like, it really is. It's been fantastic.
Brilliant. And Dennis, I can bring you in here now. This is your first home production in 15 years. It's good to be back, I suppose.
Oh yeah, lovely. Love to get back, back to family, back to the Balor. I grew up performing there as a kid, so I've been in the industry now for 10 years professionally. So it's definitely a nice point to come back and show the town what I can do, I guess.
Well, yeah, you've been a very successful actor from your youth, as you say, in the Balor. You've been in West End productions, Jimmy Rabbit and the Commitments, and the musical The Choir of Man, and you've toured the US and Australia. Did those early days in the Balor ignite your love for the stage? Oh
yeah, absolutely. I was never like the sports person of the time. My brother and brothers are all big into hurling and the golf. So anytime anyone would meet me, it would be, is this the young hurler Grindel? And like, no, this is the one who's into the music and the drama. So whenever I started with the Balor, it was definitely like finding my people and a wee home away from home. So to get to come back now it's emotional nearly, getting to come back as an adult and show them what I've been up to.
Mm-hmm. And as Charlie said, you were brought up, as I say, a stone's throw away from the Drumboe woods. And the story, was it well known to you back in your youth, or have you learned a lot more since you started to do the play?
Oh, definitely learned a lot more. It's been the best history lesson I've had in years. But no, similar to Charlie, it's terrible to say. I would have known of it. Now I knew a bit more. I did know it was a Civil War monument, but our family home is just the last before you get to the woods. So tourists would stop and ask where is the commemoration site. So it was always in the conversation, but never really knew fully what it was. So it's amazing now to about the Civil War and the history of Ireland, but to be able to place our hometown and where we fit in the narrative is pretty special.
Mm-hmm. And you play the character Father Stephen McDevitt. So how do you like that character, or can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, well, as Kieran says, it is a fictional character, but definitely important to the role, like the balance between General Joe Sweeney, who's in charge of Drumboe Castle, and then Charlie Dolly, the prisoner. The beauty of Kieran's work is, they are historical figures, political figures, some heroes to some people. My characters are, a religious man, but Kieran has really just focused on the heart of the characters and the humanity and the as we said, it is a story about brothers. So me and the boys nearly are getting emotional doing the scenes because we can draw upon our own experiences with our fathers and our own brothers and family members. It's really that is coming to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you now to do a bit of musical chairs. So I'm going
to ask me for a song.
we could do that as well. And Stefan,
hello.
Stefan Dunbar, you're very welcome as well. And there's a history of acting in your family. So you've said the apple doesn't fall from the tree as such.
No, not at all. My uncle's an actor. He's Adrian Dunbar. He's in Line of Duty. So I kind of a lot of people say I followed in the footsteps. But the first time actually that I started acting, it was in the Stations of the Cross, so that might have been my calling. But I absolutely love acting. I love being with the lads here. It was I got the opportunity a couple of weeks ago because another one of my friends, Patrick McBreary, he was supposed to play the role. Unfortunately for me, he couldn't do it, so I got to join in with the rest of the guys, and I'm on top of this project, and it's been an absolute privilege.
Mm-hmm. And you play the part of Charlie Daly / Dolly.
Charlie Dolly, yes. Let's get it right now. Yes, I'm playing Charlie. Charlie is from County Kerry. He was in the IRA. He was 26 years of age. And he believed in a cause, and he believed in fighting for the 6 counties. And as I said, it's an absolute privilege to play with him, to be directed by Charlie, to have Kieran's writing. It's fantastic. And also Denis, of course.
It's handy enough for me.
I suppose unlike Kieran and Charlie and Denis, you didn't grow up near Drumboe, or did you ever hear of this episode in history?
No,
before?
I've never heard of it, so it's been a real eye-opener for me, you know, just to delve into the character. I mean, it's heartbreaking stuff, and it's stuff that we, as Charlie says, and we all say, people need to know this, do you know what I mean? And we've been kind of hidden behind it for a long time. I mean, I never really learned much about my history in school. It's been all through my father, who's taught me a lot, and a lot of people in my family. So it's just been an absolute joy to do it, you know, and to be part of the team. Mm-hmm.
I'm so looking forward to it starting on Thursday night. Kieran, a stellar cast and a professional production. How happy are you with how it's all developed?
Oh, I couldn't put it into words. Actually, I was lucky enough to see just a run through there on Friday. It was the first time I'd seen the whole thing from beginning to end. And I actually had tears in my eyes. It was just, I mean, I put the words down on a sheet of paper, but they are putting the heart into these characters and making them real. They're real people now, and the performances is going to blow people away. I just think it's to see something that you've sat in front of a computer typing up, to see it now, the effort, the work that Charity's put into it, and the three, that's Sean as well, who's not here tonight. The three of them are just amazing, and they've brought it to life that nothing I could have imagined. So having seen that, now this was just a run through without, as I called it, the bells and whistles of the lights and sounds and everything. Just to see it like that, at its essence, at its core, its story is just beautiful, and I think the audiences are going to be in for a real treat when they get to see it. So
it starts on Thursday night, but did you tell me before we went near it? Thursday night's sold out.
Thursday night's sold out. So contact the Balor. There possibly could be returns, but if you're interested, get on. It's Thursday night sold out. There's not that many tickets left for Friday night and Saturday night as well. I think there's in total over the whole run, there's only 70 seats left, I think. But we're on again in Gweedore in the Clan on Sunday night. And so if I would get the tickets fast, I think it's, as the week goes on, it will sell. And as I said, you're in for a real treat.
And any bigger plans for the future, taking it on tour or anything like that?
No official that we know of, but we all hope that this is not the end. This is a story that should be told and should be seen. As I said, this is a story that is yes, it's a Bal Buffet and Stranraer story, but it is as applicable or as resonant as anywhere in the country. And you don't have to know anything about the Civil War. This is not a history lesson. This is a human story. So if anybody's thinking out there going, I don't know exactly what he's talking about, that's the point, is that almost the less you know, the better, to really enjoy it. There's stuff in there for people who know, who historically, they'll get it. But if you don't have to have any. It's a story of that people can relate to, of brothers, of family, and of the tragedy of this event.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, I'm so looking forward to seeing it. And Charlie and Denis, I was going to call you Adrian, Stefan, Freudian slip there. And Kieran, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me tonight.
Thank you so
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Shortcut your way to delicious